Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video. And yesterday we took a look at what the most broken cards were for 2025. And we are continuing our year-end review with today taking a look at the opposite, the least broken cards, the worst, the most irredeemable, useless, or just, in my opinion, poorly designed cards. We're going to look through the expansions, of course, of Into the Emerald Dream, the Lost of Angoro, and Across the Timeways. Feel free to chime in the comments down below on what you agree with, disagree with, and of course, if you enjoy the content on the channel, feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like as it helps the channel out a ton. Again, just like yesterday, we're going to include every single class as well as neutrals and pick out what I feel like are the worst of the worst. For Deathlight, there's two picks for me. First being Reanimate the Terror. You get Tyrax's Bone Terror after spending 15 corpses, which isn't that difficult. However, your reward is just terrible. You get a 5-mana 8/8 that does nothing. When you play it, it has Death Rattle, Open Terror's Grave. It has Death Rattle, Resummon Tyrax. So it's like an infinite loop, but basically you have to have this 8/8 die, then you can deal 4 damage, then you have to wait another turn on top of your regular turn to deal 4 damage again, get it back, and there's just not a ton of ways to abuse the death rattles right now, and just dealing 4 very slowly, incrementally, just terrible. You actively don't really want to play your reward most of the time, but it's still not my pick because there's some merit to the card, like there's some playability with it. To me, the worst card, and it has one of the sickest signatures out there, is Nefendra, the 7-mana 7, double unholy, so pretty harsh requirements, where it has Taunt and Death Rattle split into 1/1 beetles at the start of your turn, reform with the remaining, so if it dies initially, you get 7 of these beetles, and it keeps coming back, but it has no synergy with any real deck. A deck that wants to go wide doesn't like this card because you can't really use the beetles, and a deck that goes narrow, it's not really good because it's just a 7/7, and the worst part is when they reform and it's your turn, you can't even attack with the reformed minion. It's just useless to me. It's just a poorly designed card that there's just no world where it can be good other than it's constantly a taunt that keeps protecting you if they can't clear the full thing, which has popped up the rare time in Arena, but overall just isn't a very good card. I think it's a coin toss between this and the quest, and for me, it's Nefendra, considering the harsh rune requirements and the fact at least the location can deal damage. This can't do a heck of a lot of anything. For Demon Hunter, it's really just one card for me that just seems completely out of place, terrible in today's game, and that is Diabolus Rex. A 6-mana 6/5, not even a 6/6 for something that's Diabolus, right? What are we doing here? It's got Kindred, deal 6 damage to your opponent's left and right most minions, and that's it. This has to have had a demon or a beast be played in the prior turn. Otherwise, it does literally nothing. It's a 6-mana 6/5. Why it couldn't just have Battle Cry deal 6 damage to your opponent's leftmost minion, Kindred, as well as the rightmost? It still wouldn't be playable, but the fact it does literally nothing if it has no Kindred going on, meaning it has to go into a specific deck that plays a good amount of demons and beasts that just doesn't exist, and even if it did, you probably wouldn't still play it. But again, to me, absolutely meritless card, one of the worst ever. It could be 5 mana, and I don't think it would see any play, or even if it just said Battle Cry instead of Kindred, would see play? I'm not even sure on that one. Druid, I gotta go alternate reality. I feel like it's a bit of a low blow because it's not supposed to be good. My big issue with this card, besides the fact that it's just not really good, is the meme isn't really that fun, right? You replace your hand and deck with random choose 1 cards from the past. They cost 1 less. Like, choose 1 cards aren't that crazy or exciting. This world, rather than like random cards from another class or something like that, it's just choose 1 cards. Like, I don't see anyone going crazy trying to make this card work. I've never seen anyone even try and meme with it, other than when it was bugged in like the early access Tavern Brawl. It didn't even do what it's supposed to do. So to me, it's obviously a terrible card, but even as a meme, I just feel like it's not really getting people to destroy their win rate to mess around with this card. I think most people are just ignoring it, and it's an epic too, so it's not exactly a cheap card. Speaking of terrible epics, the Hunter pick for me has to be the Silver Moon location, where it starts off with dealing 5 damage to a random enemy minion. Then the next use, it hits an enemy minion. The excess goes face, and then you have the final version, where it's the lowest health minion, the excess goes face. So for 4 mana, you deal 15 damage to minions over like 3 turns, and you can deal pretty much a maximum of what? 8 damage, because you can do excess of 4 twice for 4 mana. That seems really bad in today's game. You don't play this on curve, it's terrible. And if you play it on curve, it's also pretty terrible. This is just a really, really bad card. It doesn't even work with the new open home thing. It doesn't even work with that to like get it going and improve it. It's so silly how this card works right now, or doesn't work in particular. So for me, yeah, easily the worst card. I will give an honorable mention to King Maluk, the 4 mana 5/6 battle cry. Discard your hand, get an infinite banana. It is a beast, and you get a banana, but you have no other cards. And like, sure, I could top deck something like Neri or the Animal Companions and put it on a Huffer, but it's just not amazing. But there is some redeemable aspects to it, and you never know if there's synergies in the future for emptying your hand even more. This card will get better, but as it stands right now, it is pretty bad, but not my worst. The worst definitely is that location. For Mage, it's not even a debate. If you argue with me on this one, I will go into the comments and I don't know, I'll just read it and be like, oh, I disagree. But anyways, Anomalize. Anomalize is such an unbelievable bad card. It hurts my head that this was even made. A 7 mana arcane spell, summon a random 10 and 1 cost minion, scramble their stats. First, it's lying to you. It says scramble. It just swaps like the health and attack on both of them. It's always a perfect swap. It's never purely scrambling their stats. So the card doesn't say what it's supposed to do. Second, there's like no real high roll. It's just all bad, especially when you have Dungar in the pool. But even ignoring that, swapping like an 8/8 stats with a 1/3 or 1/2 sucks. Like, it's just bad. Spending 7 mana on this is terrible, and you know this is bad when you play Discover Mage, the quest mage, right? And you cast it for free, and every time you cast it for free, it's almost extremely underwhelming and terrible. This is by far what I think is the worst card of the year. It's up there. I just don't get it. How is this ever supposed to be any good? And they didn't even buff it in the last round. They're like, no, it's doing its job. So apparently its job is to be utter garbage. Paladin didn't get that many bad cards this year, like at all, but they did get Hero's Welcome. And this card is absolutely terrible. Not quite Anomalized terrible, but really close. 8 mana, discover a legendary minion to summon. You set its stats to 10/10. The majority of legendaries in Hearthstone are impactful and strong because they have either synergy with your deck, a battle cry, rarely ever just because of stats, other than like it'd be a charge or a large taunt. There are some taunts available for Paladin, like the Divine Shield, like the 1/1, Tyrion. Like those are like, I guess, okay hits, but you're spending 8 mana to get that card. You're spending 8 mana to get a Tyrion with what? 2/2 better in stats? Wow, that's incredible. Why not just play Tyrion? Oh wait, it's not good enough anymore. And yeah, there's almost no good hits. And this is another one where I'm playing like Quest Mage and I get this card and I play it and it's still underwhelming, even though I get the other legendaries for free. It's just not a great card, and I don't think I've seen it in a single Paladin deck like at all. And even in Arena, it's bad. When a card like this, it's got Discover, is bad in Arena, you know there's an issue. Maybe you should get a copy of it as well. Maybe get some value, it would see some play. But as of right now, absolutely awful card. And let's go with another past location for Priest, the Past Conflux. For 7 mana, you get to summon a random dragon that costs 5 or more. You don't get to pick it, nothing. It's going to be bad almost all of the time because you don't get the battle cry. You're hoping to get like a taunt or like Briar Spawn, maybe, if you're really lucky. So that's really bad. Then 2 turns later, you get to discover it and summon it, which is pretty, you know, okay. That's okay. And then Future Conflicts, you also get that value summon, pick it. That's pretty good. But I feel like if you started on Future Conflicts, that'd be a pretty good card. If you started on this, you still probably wouldn't play this card. It's just unplayable, even in a world where you have Zarimi and all of that, and this could set up future stats later. When you have a card like the Murazan thing, right, the infinite damage, why would I play this? I could just play an infinite damage card to kill my opponent. I don't need this whatsoever, and I don't know what deck it would go into otherwise. And yeah, these past locations not really doing that well. For Rogue, again, I'm gonna go with 2 cards, but I will pick one as the worst, and it's not Lion Weight, which was buffed. It still remains the same in its requirement of shuffle cards into your deck 5 times, but Master Dusk was buffed to 3 mana and gives you 8 armor, and basically get the 1 mana hero power. You draw 2 cards that didn't start in your deck, and you shuffle these ninjas that have stealth that are terrible, that keep reshuffling. Like, the ninjas suck. They needed something besides stealth to have a chance. The reason I'm not picking this as my worst card is this hero card is insane. This hero card, its hero power is absolutely nuts. If you could in any way reliably get to it, the Asteroid and Cyndia stuff would have been crazy with it, but it just takes way too long. Shuffling 5 times takes way too long. There's not great shuffle cards. So as a result, the card's really bad, but more because there's just not enough to really make it work. The requirement's too steep, but I think there's merit to the card. Where there's a card with no merit, it's Ambush Predators, the 3 mana shadow spell. You summon a 1/1 spitter with stealth and poisonous. That is absolutely terrible. However, Kindred, do it again, you get another spitter. So you have to play another shadow spell. And if we look at shadow spells for Rogue, we all know Shadow Step, right? But you have Cultist Map, you have Pressure Points, and Dethrone. You have like no good shadow spells to synergize with it directly. Like, you're not stepping early to set up Ambush Predators. And I'll just put it this way: if this card just said summon 2 1/1 spitters with stealth and poisonous, would this go into any deck? I think the answer is no. Even if it was 2 mana, I don't think it would see play without the Kindred requirement. That is how awful this card is. It dies to every AoE, and at the end of the day, the best thing it can do with it is kill a couple of big minions, which is just not super relevant. It is awful, and for me, by far the worst card for Rogue this year. But my God, they got a lot of good stuff. Look out for Rogue again next year. There's 2 cards for me with Shaman. One's by far the worst of the bunch, and it's, again, not instant multiverse. Sorry, Ben Hearthstone, this was his card reveal. 6 mana, you rewind, so you have a chance to rewind on this. You summon 12 mana worth of random minions, which is okay, not great. Overload 3. Why do you overload for 3 for this? Like, every other deck gets to do insane crap for free, like for Rogue cards, like there's 0 mana. This, you spend 6 mana, you might get garbage twice, quite honestly, a lot of the time, and your overload for 3. You have 3 less mana next turn. There's no good overload synergies in standard. That is brutal, but still, to me, not nearly as brutal as Typhoon. Typhoon, 10 mana nature spell. Each minion gets shuffled into a random player's deck. Psychic Scream came out how many years ago and is 3 mana less and better than this. Repackages in standard for Priest and better than this, because it could go into your deck, their deck, and it's 10 mana. It's absurd, and there's no real great way to abuse this in any way. Also, Shaman's not super control-y, so they're not really looking at playing a card like Typhoon. All this really did was like make Quest Mage more annoying with random spells getting Typhoons in that. But overall, atrocious card for Shaman that has seen absolutely no play. Warlock did not get a ton of horrendous cards like Story Lakari. It's not amazing, but it's got like some redeemable qualities. However, one card really stood out to me, and that is the Whispering Stone, a 5 mana 0/8 taunt, death rattle, get 2 random fell spells. They cost health instead of mana. So you get a 0 attack taunt. That's terrible. You get 2, random fell spells that could cost health. However, what are the fell spells currently in standard right now? Well, you got Demonic Assault, you got Fellfire, Bonfire, Bad Omen, Health Drink, and like just a lot of cheap kind of useless crap. And a Demon Hunter, again, kind of cheap, useless crap. And there's not really that many good hits. And like, it's just a terrible taunt, and there's no real fell synergies outside of just getting a couple of bad spells. And as a result, absolutely useless card. And I've seen countless times getting this as like a random 5-drop, and it never really high rolls for you. It's just just bad. It's not a great card. And for Warrior, again, Warrior had a pretty good solid year. Not a ton of like absolutely bad cards like Gladiatorial Combat, not great, but you always know there's a possibility for this card in, you know, cheating out a big minion from your deck if there's enough support for it. And ironically, I think the worst card for the year for Warrior was like packaged with that, but why would I even want to cheat out the undefeated champion at 8 mana 13-13 rush minion, battle cry, you fill your opponent's board with random 1-cost minions. I guess it's got insane synergy with For Glory, but even if I cheat this out with that 5/5, it's still just a 13-13 with rush. And I know that's crazy to think in today's game that's not good enough, but it really isn't. Like, it's not enough that I'm gonna only play this minion and like one other big minion like Turtle to cheat out, and that's somehow gonna win me the Hearthstone game. And that's the only world where this card is any good. Even with like Chemical Spill, you're dealing a bunch of damage to this. It makes it so much worse that, yeah, this card to me has zero chance of being any good other than a high roll evolve or like, you know, summon a random 8-cost minion type of thing. Not a card you ever want to put into your deck. And neutrals, there's always like a billion options for bad cards. So I'm going to put not necessarily the worst card to me, but the most disappointing from the neutrals, and that's Chromie. Basically the poster child for the latest expansion. She's a 6-mana 4/6 death rattle. Draw another copy of cards, you play this game. So if I play, let's say, Shadow Step, and I play Chromie, and there's a Shadow Step left in my deck, or somehow like 5 Shadow Steps in my deck, just to trigger me in particular, I will draw 5 Shadow Steps. And it's super slow, it's super delayed, it's really awful, but the worst part about the card to me is it's boring. It's Chromie. It's a really cool character, and all she does is just draw cards. That's it. She just draws cards. Like, I don't know. I was expecting something a bit more than just drawing some cards, and was kind of disappointing that, yeah, for, you know, a cool card like this, that's all she's doing. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy that this expansion's neutral legendaries are dominating like we've seen, but it didn't need to be necessarily an amazing card. To me, it could have just been a lot more interesting, even if she's not all that great. So there you go. Those are my picks for the worst cards of 2025. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with, and I may or may not have a video on Christmas Day. I haven't decided. If I don't see you all tomorrow, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate, just have an awesome day and take care of yourself out there, and we'll see you on that next video. So if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.